right. So let's see if we get all the green bars. Everything seems to be going smoothly on this end. And yep, there we go. Just gonna check the audio real quick. Yep. All right. So welcome
All working?
everybody. Yep, we're live. Welcome everybody to the November 22nd edition of the Dev Roundtable, the show where we check your work in progress footage, be it Screenshot Saturday, Work in Progress Wednesday, or just a simple tweet or a DM or a message on the Discord or whatever you want us to look at. Where we basically do that. That's the show where we do that. I'm once again here with the Dev Roundtable, and I'm here with Eric. Say hello, Eric.
Greetings.
And with our boy Eno, the Dev Chef.
Hey guys.
So we're going to be looking at the different footage today. I forgot to include it in the description, but we will be looking at a request from last week that we got during the show, but like right at the tail end. So let's not forget about that. I'm actually going to throw it into the random entries section and put it in first. So once again, boys, remember, if you want to get your footage reviewed, if you want to get your stuff checked out and comments from us, you can either deposit it in the Discord that is linked in the description down below. You can tweet it at me, you can DM it at me, or you can DM it or tweet it at Eno or Eric. That's always an option. But it's always best to just go to the Discord and place it there in case if you have any special requests regarding it. So, how was everybody's week? How we were talking a little bit in the pre-stream opening, a little bit about our weeks. It seems that Eric has had a very interestingly productive week. Lots of commissions, lots of streams. And where can we watch those streams, Eric? Where can we check out your work?
You can pretty much check me out in multiple places. If you want to just watch content, then you can either go on my YouTube, which is Eric Faries, last name spelled Faries. If you would like to see me on Twitch, that would be Eric Ronin. Pretty easy to find me on those two things. You can also find me on like Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff by using the Eric Ronin name. I seem to go by that one in most places except for YouTube. But yeah, I do tutorials, I do art videos, I'll do game reviews if they come up, I do product reviews, all that kind of fancy stuff.
Awesome. And you also had an interestingly productive week, as is available on your Twitter, but you also have a Discord. Is that true?
Yes, of course. I have a Discord, and there you can play the alpha, not directly, but you can contact me over there, and I will give you the link to the alpha version of my game.
I would just like to take a moment to applaud how fucking seamless my shilling was. Okay, I mean it was just perfectly seamless. I just included the shilling perfectly, transitioned in between it. I think I deserve some credit for fantastic shilling.
Of course.
But that will have to wait though, because we're going to go straight into today's entry. So the first entry we're going to look at, let's look at Eno's first, since that's the one that's linked, obviously. So let's look at Eno's first. So let's go into Eno's Twitter. As usual, Eno's has footage, so let's transition over to there. Bada beam, bada boom. And Eno is tweeting at us, Screenshot Saturday. He's saying, from now on, you don't have to fight until a certain ingredient is finally dropped. You can also order them in the new online shop. However, these are expensive and you'll have to wait for them to be delivered. So let's play that footage, everybody. In 3, 2, 1, here we go. right? So I'm just gonna let it loop with no audio there after watching it. I'll jump into this one first. If that's okay with you, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so first off, there's two things I want to talk about kind of separately in this tweet. The first one is the look of the shop, and I really like the look of the shop. It's pretty intuitive, it's pretty obvious, and it has this kind of 1998 Internet Explorer look to it, or 2000 Internet Explorer look to it, which is really nostalgic, and I like it quite a bit. I think a quick kind of a little bit of feedback that could improve it is maybe as you click ingredients, you can get a little number to pop up in the top right in your little cart, because it's not necessarily immediately obvious that you have to click the cart to finish the purchases. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
like a little 1, 2, 3, like you get in any cart system, like on Amazon, for example, since that's the callback that you're kind of doing here. Um, but other than that, it's very uh, intuitive. It's obvious that the left tab is to buy a single element, while the right tab is to buy five. So I like that. I would like to ask though, can I buy seven at any one point, or is six the maximum? Because I'm assuming if you click the
No,
plus one, or
it's not really the maximum. You add one or you add
oh,
five.
okay. Because the
So
red, the little
the
red but
maximum,
the red
yeah, the
coloring makes me
maximum is
think
the
that it's
money.
like a selection rather than a button. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so maybe when you click it a second time, you can get like a two in the bottom corner or something like that. These are
Hmm.
at this point nitpicks more than anything, just to make it more clear. But the entire system is interesting. It looks quite intuitive, um, and the icons that we saw from last week, from the screenshot that we saw, are put to once again great use. And I like it. I think I don't know if Eric is probably gonna have some comments about maybe the color scheme or something, but overall I really like it. To me, it's intuitive, and it makes sense. And for the first version of it, it's really really, it's really really good. It's really really advanced. So um, I like that. I will ask this money, uh, which is kind of a concept I've been ignoring in your game for a while. How do you get the money? I'm assuming completing recipes and stuff like that will get you the money, and maybe drops
Exactly.
in the dungeon and stuff like that. But it's interesting because now it's got me thinking about the money in the game, which adds a little bit more to that management layer that we talked about last week. We talked about kind of managing the amount of stove tops that you had available, since you only have four, which making you pick and choose what recipe you'd like to use because they use more than one stove top. Now money is another interesting aspect. So I'll have to ask, besides ingredients, will money have more uses in the future, or will it be more specifically for this aspect? Is there ingredients that I can only get online? Uh, how, give me a little bit of
Mm,
background on the money real quick.
so yeah, the money is what you get when you serve your food.
Hmm.
Obviously, you're gonna run a restaurant, and once you serve the food, the guest will pay, and you will get money for this. Yeah, the online shop is meant for the people who don't want to grind right now, or have went down to the basement several times, and this one tomato is not dropping. So you can buy this with the money you make. The money will have later on other purposes, and I did not really plan about ingredients which you can only buy. This is not what I have thought of right now. Maybe this is a good idea, but you technically you can just buy the ingredients which will be dropped from the enemies as well. But every ingredient has a drop chance, and yeah, at some point you got to be lucky. Especially the more ingredients I integrate into this, because this is not the end. Yeah, the more lucky you will have to get.
Okay. So there's a second aspect I'd like to discuss, but I think I want to let Eric jump in, and then we'll get into that.
Hmm.
Excuse me. Yeah, the only really thing I could say is like adding the little numbers on the cart would definitely be nice because like if you go to any website that has that kind of system, it helps to know that it's like you look up and go, oh, okay, I have things in my cart. Visually, everything looks fine. Like obviously having all white, you might put maybe a little splash of color in the very top, but if you go to websites like Amazon, if you go to any other shopping website, they're very simple. You want to keep your colors simple because you don't want your person who's coming to the site to lose readability. You want the product to be the thing
Mm-hmm.
that pops up the most. So it's definitely a good idea to go very simple and have most of your like major colors being the icons for the items. But maybe just like little something up the top just to break up the segments so that way you can see the top is a different aspect, like it's supposed to be for something else. You hit the home key, next, search, or cart, and then the actual products section is the one below. It gives you that little bit of separation that the lines do, but for your eyes, it's even more obvious when you have that distinct difference. Um, but other than that, like everything else looks to work really nicely. So very well done.
Thanks.
Okay, so the second aspect that I wanted to kind of discuss, uh, which is kind of more of a little debate. Let's see what everybody thinks about it. Is I noticed that you did put this mechanic. At least it seems like a big part of this mechanic, um, is to kind of supplement the people who don't want to go into the dungeon and grind and do that kind of stuff. Uh, I guess my question would be, and my concern with that would be, players have a tendency. There's this really popular phrase. Players have a tendency to optimize the fun out of games, and if you go and you look at the GDC, I think it was for Don't Starve in particular, or I don't remember which game in particular, but they talk a little bit about, yeah, Don't Starve it was, how players will do their absolute darndest to optimize the fun out of things. And what I mean by that is that they'll look for the way to accomplish the task with the least amount of resistance. In Don't Starve in particular, and I might be botching. I might be botching some of the details here, but what I remember when they talked about this in their postmortem or whatever, they said that in the beginning it had a lot more quests because there was a quest system for the tutorial in particular to people to learn the game, but it was only there for the tutorial. And when the quests were over, the players were kind of like, "Oh, so I'm done with it," and they'd stop playing because they saw I have a direct goal. This is what I should do, and they just did it. And when it was done, it was done. Uh, that's not an explanation of what's going on here. It's simply to illustrate the point of optimization of the fun. And my question here would be, if a player kind of sees this, what would be stopping him of only going into the dungeon to get enough, maybe money, or maybe just basic ingredients to get money to then attempt to use the store as much as possible? And the second aspect of the second portion of my question is, if the dungeon is such an important part of the game, why would you try to make them avoid it? Uh, I think that something like unique items that only are purchasable in the shop would be a nice supplement. And I see the obvious sentiment of this, which is it's mostly a supplement. It's not meant to be used mainly. And I
Mm-hmm.
obviously understand it. I understand the sentiment behind it. I just wanted to present kind of this topic to kind of discuss that. What are you going to do in order to make it a addition, make it a supplement, and not make it like a crux that players who don't like quote unquote grinding, because again, this is a game that is grinding heavy. That's, if you don't really like grinding in this game, you're you don't like 60% of it, because a lot of the game is about
Yeah.
going into the dungeon and fighting mobs and doing that and doing it again. And a lot of the kitchen stuff, even if it gives context to all of that, it's kind of secondary from a gameplay perspective, because again, you're not cooking all the time, and cooking really is selecting the correct ingredients and allowing time to go by. So the most active part of the game is the dungeon itself. uh, so does
Yes.
that make sense? Do you understand where I'm going with this? So
Yeah, yeah, of
so
course,
so so
of
what
course.
are your thoughts, I guess, on it? I can see it working quite
I,
well. There's no problem yet. It's just
yes.
I just wanted to get your kind of thought on that. It's just a
Yeah,
discussion topic. Yeah.
yeah, I thought about that as well. Um, and this is what I try to explain with that these are very expensive, these ingredients. If you go in and buy all your ingredients, what you need for one dish to cook, you won't get the money out of the dish for serving. So you will lose money if you do that. So at, at, at some point, you won't have money again to get ingredients. Secondary, you will have to go down to the basement and do a couple of fights because that's the only way to gather XP, to level up, to gather skill points, to even unlock better recipe or other recipes than just the soups. The soups is what you get at the very beginning to be able to cook, but everything else you got to unlock with your skill points, and you will get them just if you level up. So in the end, you don't really have a chance to do the fights. It's more meant like, yeah, I went down now 5 times, and this one ingredient I really want to have doesn't drop. Okay, now I'm gonna buy this one ingredient which is missing. Spend a little bit of the money, but I can cook the dish.
Okay, so it's like an RNG supplement, really.
Yeah,
Okay.
because so yeah, you will get to one point where you can't anymore do it on the very lazy way. But I thought about that the same way. What if the people try to do just to go in there and just to buy the ingredients and cook them and
It's
not
also a
going
portion
down to
as
the
to why I
basement?
asked. It's also a part of why I asked what other uses I guess the money has. Because if the money's just for ingredients, there's no drawback on just buying the ingredient you're missing, right? But I
No, no,
assume
no.
money is going to have more purposes, and it's going to be,
Yes, yes.
and we're going to see
And
that down the line. So
and
that's not
and
really
and you
fair
can
to.
see at the very beginning of the video, this one button for groceries is
Hmm.
on the top left corner. So there will follow more shops technically where you can spend more money. I haven't planned some items which will boost your kitchen even a little bit more, like different stuffs maybe you can buy and stuff like this. This is where you can spend your money on later as well.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. Do you have any additional comments on that, Eric? Or
No, not really. Everything makes sense to me, and I mean, yeah, as long as you're careful with what you're adding into the shop and making sure, like as you said, make players only use this as a crap RNG's. RNGesus is being mean to me. Let me buy that freaking tomato that just won't drop. So, I mean, it's good for that. Like, because sometimes RNG can be a pain in the dick, and everybody hates that.
I can hear the Genshin impact in your voice. I can hear
Shut up.
it. All right, boys. So
I
let's move.
just wanted the little fire freaking lolly to blow things up with.
I don't play that game, but I'd be looking for the zombie girl. That looks like the most fun. She's
I think I
tiny.
actually unlocked her.
Um, yeah, but let's not talk about Genshin Impact. Let's instead look at my screenshot Saturday. Yay! So for screenshot
Yay.
Saturday, I've connected the barracks locations, encounters, and battle screen. Will we vanquish the skeleton party from the forest? So I'll play that in the background. It has no audio once again, which might be changing soon. So you guys can kind of talk whenever you feel the need to. I won't really be saying much because again, this is my. It's a little awkward to uh, critique my own content. So
It's cool that you got the battle system back into play. I love the little sprites. Like that's one thing I really like. When it goes into like actual attacks, all of a sudden little sprite things come up. You get to see an attack. It's just very fun to look at, especially since everything else is 3D in like the overworld section. So it's a nice little combination of effects here. I don't know. You know me. I really love simplistic pixel art.
yeah, I'm kind of right in that boat with you. So
Yeah.
help me kill
The
this dead air.
silence. I thought maybe Eric will go on anymore. I don't know. Yeah, I really love this update because right now you see everything coming together. You can now see that there's a game loop. So you end your day, you got an encounter, and you obviously encounter them, and yeah, after the combat, I think you will just get out to the overworld again.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
actually it's actually in the game right now. There's a little bug that the command points doesn't toggle off, so you kind of go back into the overworld with the command points there. But it's there. It's just the video was getting a little too long. It's 40 seconds, kind of breaking my rule. So
yes,
I decided to just leave the combat inconclusive. That way I can answer the question next week.
yes, but yeah, it's really nice to see everything now coming together and finally get a feeling of what it will be to play this game.
Was it obvious? I guess this is the time I'll ask you guys questions about this. Was it obvious the reason why I show the barracks at the beginning? Because if you notice, the first thing that happens in the video is I click on the barracks and show the character with half health.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is just showing that all the little pieces are connected, because then you show the character again right in the battle scene, and he's got the
Yeah,
half health thing.
exactly. That was kind of to showcase that it's not like static, separate things, that they're all connected, and these are the same characters that you were modifying in the barracks, which was the update I was working with a month and a half ago. That we discussed on the show when I was on vacation. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, so any additional comments, questions, or shall we move on?
I don't have anything to add. That is just fantastic.
Okay.
Let me
Yeah,
play this now.
because really it's just seeing pieces coming together. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's pretty much what it is. All right. So let's move on to the first random entry. So this is the entry from last week that our boy Angel Studios kind of showcased. Uh, it's a 5-minute video. I'm not gonna let the whole thing roll because we do have like 6 other entries today, so it'd be a little unfair. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start playing it, and then I might skip through it while we all comment over it. So we might play the whole thing if we have enough comments to keep it going. Uh, so yeah, I'm gonna play it. It has audio, so until I decide
yeah,
to
I've
mute
got
it.
it partially turned down. That way I can still hear the audio, but I can also hear.
Yeah, I think we can comment over it because it's just ambient music right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thing is, I have a bit of an unfair thing because I have seen parts of this.
No, that's fine. That's not. It doesn't bother. I'm sure the audience will forgive you for cheating. So nice little comedic twist you got here. You got this like sassy edge boy, kicking a creature. You got the sassy girl. Oh, okay. So he's a flirtatious kind.
Yes.
Beautiful and hot. That's kind of redundant there, but oh, he posted cringe, but she's impressed. She's running after him. That's wow, that guy's a stud. He two
Hey,
words.
man, all it takes is a good smooth line.
Oh, and here comes the guy who got cheated out of the girl. Of course, you're not the Chad emo.
Your typical anime.
Of course.
So yeah, skipping along a little bit, you can see kind of the hack and slashy kind of stuff. That's definitely what this game
I saw him
is
select
going
his sword. I like the menu simplicity. There's obvious details here. This seems like this is a development update, so we're still in proof of concept / development. So things like making the UI a little prettier and stuff like that, that'll all happen later. So everybody bear that in mind. The combat looks nice and crunchy. I haven't skipped yet. Combat with that skull thing looks nice and crunchy. Seems satisfying, so I'm happy about that. It seems that there's a stamina bar, or is that no? That's experience. That's experience.
Yeah, it's going up as he's fighting.
Yeah. So he's fighting a group of
It's
skeletons.
going up with every hit.
Ah, okay. So it's one of those systems. So every successful hit gives you experience. Okay, that's fine.
Actually, I think it is technically stamina because every hit gives you some back, but then when he's using dodging, like
Yeah, it's
combos and
going
stuff,
down.
it goes down.
That's an
So
interesting.
I think it's to make it so that like you have to be careful on whether you're dodging or attacking, because you have to attack to get your stamina back.
Yeah, I have to balance it.
You
That's
can't
not.
just sit there and
That's
dodge
kind of
roll
like
for 20
Bloodborne a little bit,
Yeah,
incentivizing you
but
to attacking.
reverse.
So it's
reverse.
de-incentivizing the idea of a defensive tactic, I guess, because if you're dodging, he hasn't shown block yet where I'm at, but if you're just dodging, you're gonna run out of stamina. So you need to be hitting him in order to do stuff. Yeah, it's an attack first system. That's fine. It worked very well in Bloodborne. It's it allows players to have it forces players to have a more active role, which everybody likes in the end.
Yeah.
Combat a little bit
When I see
janky.
the rest of the video, it doesn't seem like he's mostly just repeatedly showing more of the same stuff
Yeah.
for the level. So it should be easy for us to just kind of.
Yeah, we're talking. Let's just talk over it as it is. I'm gonna let it continue playing. I like his items change. So he changed from the wood sword to the metal sword, and you can see it in the world. That's cool. It seems it's not a jumping game, which is fine, no problem. Which makes the labyrinth design. It reminds me a lot of Phantasy Star for PSP. Kind of this labyrinthium design.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
I don't know if that's all Phantasy Stars, because I have Phantasy Star 2 for PSP. That's the only one I've ever played, and it does have like these labyrinths because you don't jump much in that game, so it has these like labyrinth, obvious wall corridor things that this game has. So it looks nice. I mean, credit where credit's due. It looks very advanced.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Combat's fine. Maybe a little bit more crunch when you take damage, because where I'm at, he's already lost almost half his health bar, and I didn't notice where. I like that he has a little charge attack. That's nice.
Yeah.
Gives some diversity there.
I haven't seen him use. Like, did he use it against any enemy?
Yeah, he used it like his combat initiation, is what I'm saying.
Okay. Because like later on in the video, you don't really see him do it much, and then right at the end, he just kind of does like a dash to move forward. But yeah, no, I like having those kind of like. Hopefully, there'll be like more abilities. It'd be nice to see.
Yeah, there has to be,
different things
because
added
the
on.
combat is kind of simple in that sense, and it's a little repetitive in this video, but it's obvious to me that they're going to be putting more skills, which is we were talking about Genshin Impact earlier. That's kind of what this reminds me of when it comes to the combat, in particular, the whole using skills and stuff and trying to maximize your damage. Again, it's Bloodborne to me, based off of the attack first, dodge second kind of mentality. But yeah, it's clear that you need more skills and more stuff to do in the game, so that the combat doesn't become repetitive. But overall, this looks quite good. It looks, this is from Scrape Games, so gotta give him some credit. Yeah, I like everything. I mean, again, a lot of the criticism I'm giving is mostly just development. It's in development. It's obvious. So yeah, I mean, I like the kind of cringy intro. I like that you're the classic anime protagonist. So yeah, I mean, I got nothing really negative to say. I mean, polish is just, it's gonna come. Overall, it's got nice effects, and it's in a playable state from what I can see, which is, it's more than I have. So gotta tip my hat in that direction. So what are your thoughts? You've been a bit quiet on this one.
Athletic talking you. Yeah, this style of game is right up my alley. Yeah, as you said, it might need a little bit more fighting mechanics and stuff like this. And what I particularly would like to see, that you can toggle on the enemy, lock on the enemy, because in the battle, when you roll off, the enemy gets out of the screen or stuff like this, and yeah. But this is, I'm used to it. I've been playing Bloodborne quite a lot, and Sekiro and all these games. And I'm used to it to just lock on my enemy, and that way dodging is much more easier. And you can fight more strategic.
I guess it depends on the type of game they're going for, because maybe lock on could even be a skill that you get later. Because
maybe.
you can perfectly fight without lock on. What I'm seeing, it's like even in Dark Souls, for example, there were a lot of times I didn't use the lock on, and I like kind of that free flowing. It's kind of up to you to hit them thing. So I like that, but you have to be careful because if the enemies have like very specific mechanics that are very, uh, you know, you have to be very, very on time to dodge or stuff like that, then it could be a problem. It could be frustrating for what you mentioned. But if the enemies are like simple, like they are here, and it's more about, you know, quantity than quality, and it's more about managing your skills and the enemies. Like there were no mechanics to these enemies. It was just hit them twice, dodge, hit them twice, dodge. And simple enemies like that can work real well if you have a lot of skills and stuff to play with. MMOs do that quite a bit in their own way. So, it depends on what they want to do. Camera, as usual in these games, as you said, could be an issue. But I don't think the lock-on is mandatory. Is my...
No, not really mandatory. This is just my
But
opinion.
I would certainly, at the very least, like to see it
have
as a
this
skill.
in this kind of game. At least the option, This is what I would like.
Okay.
It's not that it's really mandatory.
I think it at the very least should be as a skill. At the very least. Like it can't be completely excluded from the game. I agree with that.
Yeah, but overall, this really looks nice and promising. I'm excited to see more of this.
Yeah, is there a Twitter I can shout out? Because this is a YouTube video. We usually get tweets. This is a YouTube video. I don't think there's a Twitter I can shout out. It's from Scrape Games. There is no description. They have a Facebook, Scrape Games, and on Facebook you'll see it is... Oh, the page isn't available. Okay. So, yeah, I think... follow Angel Games on Twitter.
Yeah.
They're the publisher
Angel
for this.
Studio.
Angel Studios. I don't know why I call it Angel Games. Yeah, follow them on Twitter. I'll link them in the description, I guess. They're the publisher for this game, so they'll probably be able to throw you a little bit more info on it. All right. Any additional comment, boys? Or
No.
Nope.
all right. So let's move on then. So today we have Existensis Official. So one of the random entries. And he says, I've drawn all the assets for my game on paper, and I've filled about 200 pages so far. So I'm just going to let it play. It's a GIF, so you guys can talk whenever you see you.
See, this catches my eye because it reminds me of the last one we did.
Yeah.
Almost the like picture book-esque thing.
Yeah.
Like the hand paintings, although these are hand drawings, which, man, I want to see more of this in like 2D games. Because especially in 2D games, it's something it's not hard to do. You just need a decent scanner. So, oh my god, I would love to see like some good close-up scans of the drawings alone. I'll have to check through their Twitter page later. But god, every time it switches back to the gameplay, it's so interesting because it blends in so perfectly. Which makes me wonder if the character is paper drawn or digitally drawn. I would love to look at that, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of the aspects that I'm not sure if they don't get like retouched when they're scanned in.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they obviously would need to be retouched because unless this person has like a very expensive scanner, it's really hard to scan drawings of that style without some digital tweaking to make them, blend in a little bit, especially because you have to make them transparent. So you got to get rid of that little fuzziness on the outer edges. So I would love to see a video of them working on this. Like I'll probably check out their thing later after the stream.
And reminder, we have to pick this week's highlight, and we've both the previous entry and this one are in the running, so keep that in mind. We won't be doing the which one I got for who, because it's pretty obvious at this point why I brought this one here. So we won't be doing that this week.
The fact that I'm just gushing over it.
I mean, I think you're gonna gush over a couple more, but yeah, it's pretty obvious that the guy who we showcased painting a badass Viking by hand would probably appreciate the game with the guys scanning in their stuff. Yeah, I'm really impressed by the look of it. It's a nice little anecdote here. The way I look up random entries when I don't receive the direct entries or enough direct entries to fill out the whole thing, what I do is I like to go through the Screenshot Saturday tag and go through top and latest. So I give kind of everybody, like people with a lot of retweets and people with like no retweets, the same shot. And it's interesting because usually the most populated, the tweets that populate, excuse me, the top the most are the ones that have this kind of different look and these different kind of non-conventional asset styles. So it really goes a long way to say that people shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but it certainly helps when promoting. So keep in mind that your book cover should be really good, because
Yeah,
it
because
tends
it's
to
the book
draw
cover
attention.
that catches your attention and draws
Yeah,
you in.
yeah.
That's the way it's been with album art. It's the same way it's been with comic books. If you don't have something to grab the attention of someone before they've even had a chance to see what the content is,
Yes,
then
sir.
you've already lost that customer.
Exactly. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's just beautiful. It's really and it's amazing. Like Eric said, how you get it one by one into the game without, yeah. And obviously, because it's posted saying he has drawn all of them, so I guess the character is drawn as well and animated. So you got to make, yeah, a lot of drawings of this. This is crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Good work, Existensis Official. So once
Hmm.
again, at
Very good work.
Existensis O on Twitter if you want to check him out. And he immediately talks a little bit about how you can go to librariumstudios.com if you want to sign up for their, mailing list and find out more about the game. So do that if you're interested. Good work, Existensis. So I'm going to move on if that's okay with you guys,
Yep.
as
Sure.
we still got a couple entries here. So Meteora.game at Meteora Game says another background design, the scene where the flail is introduced. So let's play that. It's got audio, so I'm gonna be quiet.
Music's really good on here.
Yeah, so it's already played for me. I'll
Yep.
let you take first dibs on this one.
Yeah. This is as well. I think it's drawn. Yeah. It looks just beautiful. I love the reflections.
Yes.
Um, this is just amazing. So it looks in the back. It looks like it would be water, but I don't know if maybe he's standing on top of water as well. I don't know. You don't really see this, but it's just really beautiful. And as Eric said, the music is just amazing.
Absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, the artwork's fantastic, and I love the slight stutteriness of the animations. Like it's not a perfect. I don't even know what that
Hmm.
frame is. That might be less than 12 frames a second because you can see the frames, um, because it's juddering so much. But it looks really nice because of the art style is very gloomy, and I think that little bit of jankiness like perfectly flows with it. The water reflection is amazing. I would love to see
Hmm.
the shader they
yeah, I
used for
was
that.
curious to know what engine they're using, but it doesn't. They don't list it in their hashtag.
Um, I mean, it could either actually it could be a couple things. It could be something like Unity, because I know Unity can do that stuff. It could be Godot.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Game Maker can do that kind of effect, but it might be able to. I haven't
I mean, I
really
try to I
picked
try
up with
not
it.
to guess when it comes to game maker and RPG maker and those kind of things, because again, the fact that you can that it has an open script editor that allows you to do crazy shit with that engine, I've
Yeah,
learned not to underestimate it because there's a lot of
yeah,
crazy people
especially
that do
because this guy's
crazy
clearly
shit with it.
creative.
Yeah, yeah. This guy, yeah, again, we're getting into Salvador Dali territory. I'm a little scared. What
Yeah, really.
next week's tweets are going to start showcasing, but yeah, it looks bewitching. I like the little, something that uh, at least calls my eye. Maybe Eric can explain the mechanics behind it, but I really like they're talking about the introduction of the flail. I like how that little yellow thing that's swinging, I'm assuming that's the flail that's swinging from the hand over there. Uh, I like how it's everything is black and white except that, and except the emblems on the chest of the hero that are the same color as the thing that's in the middle of the yellow ball. Uh,
Yep.
Maybe that is intentional to tell you that these two things go together, but regardless, I really like that little swinging flail there, and everything else kind of like this dead, watery, weird alter world look that it's got to it. So yeah, I mean, I can't say much more. And the music, I like that Eric gave it a shout out right at the start, as we usually don't do it. And an interesting thing is, I didn't notice this until a little bit ago, but that thing that looks like a pile of leaves is a face in the back. I didn't
Yep.
notice that. I didn't notice these were the lips and the nose and the eyes. I thought it was
Oh
just like a
yeah.
pile of leaves. It wasn't just me, right? You didn't know
Uh-huh.
either. Okay.
Yes.
So it's not just me, because Eric's like, of course. And I'm like, oh, well, I didn't know. Um, so it's again the obvious callback to me, the obvious reference that I get when I look at that is Evangelion. Um,
Yeah.
all anime nerds will know exactly what I'm talking about. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's.
And
I really like it. It's different, and I have to congratulate at Meteora Game. If you guys want to check him out, he's only got 10 likes, so let's move that up to 12 now, because Eric apparently liked it
yeah.
right while I was when I was talking. Um,
And another thing you can see with like the whole effect with the black and white and the color, if you've ever read Sin City by Frank Miller, it's a similar effect. It's all black and white
like the
except
movie,
for very specific uses of color.
yeah, like the movie is that based off of the same book?
Yes, the movie is based off of the comic books
Yeah,
by Frank Miller.
there you go.
So he would use red only for blood or the lips or hair
Yeah,
to emphasize to your eye that this is a stylistic choice. It's like, okay, there's a thing here. This is the defining feature, so that later on, when you see that color again, you remember that. So
Frank
like, oh,
Miller.
this
What else
girl
did
has
Frank Miller
red lips.
make? Because name sounds familiar. Is that he made? Did he make the Batman, the old? Is that Frank Miller?
Yeah, he made Dark Knight
There
Returns,
you go.
and then he slowly lost his goddamn mind and started being a terrible writer. But thankfully, he gave us a lot of really good comics before he went cuckoo. Because holy crap, did he go freaking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? Jesus Christ!
We'll
I
have
feel
to do
bad
a
for
Frank
Jim Lee
Miller
for
stream
him having
later.
to draw for him.
We'll have to do a Frank Miller stream to get all the deep lore on that at some point.
Yeah, that would be yeah. Let's have a Miller time.
It's Miller time. Yes.
That's the joke.
That's that is a. Are you guys also thinking about the fighting game reference? Miller time.
No, I'm
No,
thinking
not
No.
FGC. It's cringy. Don't look it up. Um, yeah,
Fair enough.
you do not want to look her up. So let's move on to the next. Oh, where did I? Oh, there, yeah, I messed it up. So the next one in our group is Mr. Chris Algo, at Chris Algo with two O's. Radio silence for a while, but I'm back and I learned how to do camera stuff. Check out at CK Jong's new level art. And he gives all the hashtags. And let's just play it. This one has no audio, so we can just talk over it. Um,
Yeah, I've been playing it for a little bit now.
so I really like the. I mean, this gives emphasis on something that's or should be very basic and should be very known to all people, but so a lot of games get wrong, which is the use of cameras, not just for obvious gameplay purposes, but to kind of give scale and scope to things. Because you can kind of like when that whole thing kind of zooms out, you get this sense of you really are climbing a mountain, and there is, and of course there's going to be more effects and stuff added in the future, and maybe making the jump a little bit more smooth and more feel like a double jump, like a little particle impact or whatever. But
Yeah.
overall, I like this kind of showing of scale, and he does it in such a smart way that it makes it feel cinematic in the sense that he doesn't just do that when you get onto the top of that thing. He does it right when you get into that area to show you have to go up and you have to go over here. It's such a subtle and basic thing that so many people get wrong. Uh, and it doesn't do it in a way that makes you feel like you're going to throw up. That's another thing. A lot of people like changing the camera in bad moments,
Yeah,
but
not too
here,
much motion to like cause motion
yeah.
sickness.
So and the emphasis on things like she gets to the temple and it just zooms in there. You don't need anything else. I really like his. I do have to say you did learn to do stuff with cameras. As you said in the tweet. So I agree with that. You did do learn to do stuff with cameras and you learned it quite well. So congratulations, Chris, on that. Eric, jump in.
Yeah, it's a very clean camera. It could obviously still needs a little bit of smoothing, but like it doesn't go janky or anything. It doesn't wig out, so they definitely got a decent handle on how cameras work. The only other thing I would honestly, the only thing other thing I would comment on is like other than like absolutely great looking graphics, the top notch there. But for the animations, I would say like that double jump needs a second animation for the second part of the jump
Yeah.
because right now it looks a little
Yes.
awkward.
Yeah.
So like either a front flip or just have them doing the motion of a jump again. And then
Yeah.
like you said, have that little bit of a air effect under their feet
Yep.
so it almost looks like they kicked the air.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, he's making emphasis in the tweet on the camera, so I'm not going to give him
Yeah.
too much crap for that. And again,
Oh yeah.
clearly in development, so I'm not going to give him too much crap for that. But yeah, that's something that definitely. This. What do you think of the sprite work, boys? What do you think of the girl, of the ninja girl here?
Very nicely. It's very clean. The animations for the running looks good. The like idle animation looks good. The hair flow looks really good. I don't know who did the like the tile sets or anything, but those look pretty clean as well. Yeah, very good. This looks very professional.
My guy. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I got nothing really to add to you guys. You mentioned everything. Yeah, the camera work is really good. It 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 shows it's hinting you what you have to do with the zoom out. You see the temple, and obviously you got to jump over there. Yeah, it's really smart done, and as Eric said, yeah, the art is great. It's really good. And the jumping, yeah, needs work, but that's a camera post.
Yeah. So
Yeah, just
again,
agreeing.
congratulations, Chris, on the camera work, and I think CK Jung is the person who's he says did the level art, so maybe he did the sprite work. So yeah, let's move on. Let's go over to at Kuvker, Kirill, and I'm butchering his name. He says working on the Fog of War for my 2D indie retro inspired RTS. Let's check. I didn't like Chris, so let me like his thing. Uh, RTS, excuse me for that. This truly adds an extra layer of challenge and depth to the gameplay. So an RTS game. Let's check that out real quick. This doesn't have audio either, so let's showcase it real quick. I'm gonna let you go first because we've kind of monopolized the whole thing in the last couple ones. So I'll let you talk.
I'm fine with that. I'm not as experienced with RTS, so have fun.
Yeah, I've been playing kind of a lot of RTS, especially the old ones like Command and Conquer, the classic ones.
Hmm.
Yeah, it looks like a proper RTS. You can move several troops together, and they split up nicely on the bridge. This is what I like,
Mm-hmm.
that you don't have to do any stuff. And yeah, I like the colors, the grass and the green, or the green, and the overall style. It looks really interesting. Really nice.
I'll go next, I guess. Yeah, I like. I'm also very much have a weak spot for RTS. As I was playing uh the original Warhammer Dawn of Wars games a couple weeks back, and I always loved the Age of Empires series. That's kind of a basic bitch for anybody who likes RTS kind of statement, but it's there. And I have to say, one of my favorite games of all time was the Star Wars version, Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, that was made on the Age of Empires 2 engine. It's fantastic. It's on Steam. So, as you said, I love the seamlessness with how he moves in between they kind of split and move on the bridge. It's That's really smooth and really well done. And if you look at his mouse, he deliberately is clicking on the middle, like over which the straight line would be over the water. So the fact that he got them to split like that is it's such a clean way is really good. And they try to, if you notice, like one of the guys runs from the top group to the bottom group because they're trying to keep it as balanced as possible when it comes to amount. So that's really nice. The health bars are so clean, and that's one of the most complicated, not most complicated. It's one of the easiest things to fuck up in an RTS because you have so many
Hmm.
units. Paying attention to all individual health bars. If you have like these muddied health bars that don't call your eye, or ones that are way too complicated, you're not going to get the information that you need. So a simple green bar with a yellow to warning and red to low shift there. Really like it, and I like the speed of it. Um, I like RTSs that are a little bit more on the sluggish side. Um, because fast RTS can just be like a nightmare. Like again, I respect all of
Yeah.
the StarCraft players, but that is definitely not my style. This like maniacal. You have to optimize every second, and you have to have crazy key bindings. I'm not too crazy about that. So I really like the speed, and I want to show him some love because we don't have. I think this is the first RTS we've had on this since we started doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think.
So I
Yeah.
wanted to give him a little bit of a shout out from me. So Eric, the one who's not experienced with RTSs, what are your thoughts?
I mean, there's really not much I can add that you guys haven't already said. Because, I mean, yeah, the AI pathing looks clean, movement looks clean. The main feature of this tweet being the fog of war, it's working perfectly. Like, I don't see any awkward pop in areas, like for the outer edges when enemies are coming through. So that looks very clean. And then, yeah, like visually, the graphics look great. Like, they're very pleasing to look at. There's almost like a. It's funny. The grass actually has like a little bit of a grid to it, which is
Yeah,
kind of cool, like a checker pattern. Which I,
yeah,
I actually like. Normally when you do tile sets, you don't want it to be obvious that it's a tile set. You want it to look very smooth and seamless. But with an RTS, it actually kind of fits the way
Yeah.
you play a game. It looks like a tabletop almost,
yeah.
and
It
I
looks like
kind
a
of dig that.
tabletop that came to life.
So I dig that. I hope they keep that because that actually, to me, adds to the appeal, especially anyone who does like tabletop games,
Yep.
especially like Warhammer and stuff like that. They would love this. Especially like even my brother is into like collecting little models, painting them, and actually goes and plays games. So yeah, no, very nice.
Yep. Uh, Interesting that we didn't mention anything about the fog of war. So we are too busy gushing about RTSs. So Eric, nice save on his regard. So yeah, man. Good work at Kuvker. Uh, Special place in my heart for these types of games. So there's a like from me. So let's move
Yep.
on to our last entry of the day.
And I already like this one.
Uh, I figured you would. So this is from Hyper Team Reckon, Mr. Rolling Circle at Mr. Rolling Circle. Another enemy gets their introduction. This time it's the spike snail, a snail that can sharpen its shell to protect itself from damage. So let's take a look.
I am
This one does have audio, so I'm gonna be quiet.
I'm getting mad Paper Mario from
Yep.
this. Holy crap.
Yes.
Yep.
The second I see this episode, that's beautiful. It's really awesome.
I originally had it muted, but then I kind of turned the audio up for the second loop, and now I'm just giggling. little sound it makes when it's talking.
Yeah, so I'm gonna leave it looping in the background. So yeah, the Paper Mario vibes are crazy. Not necessarily because of the obvious peeper, but what did it for me was the dialogue and the little sound, when he's
Yeah,
talking.
yeah, that like immediately.
That was Paper Mario to me. That was like, oh yeah, yeah, I know what game you got this from, son. Yeah, I'm picking up what he's putting down.
And the
Um,
fact that all the like sprites that are separated from the environment all have a little bit of that white outline, so it looks like you literally cut them
mhm.
out of paper.
You know something I really like about this? There's a lot of artists out there who have kind of a how do I put this and not sound like a dick? They have a style that looks amateur, that looks infantile in a way. And I think everybody knows who I'm talking about. I mean, if you ever looked at DeviantArt, you probably saw a couple of these. Um, but and here that you kind of look at that and it kind of looks like that, but it fits perfectly. It fits like excellently. It's this
Yeah.
cartoony, almost trying to be anime, but not really, and it just fits so well here that I couldn't like the second I saw it, I was like, "Yep, this is the art for this game." And again, I'm not knocking on the artist. I'm not saying your art looks amateurish or whatever.
Oh no. In
What I'm
fact,
saying, what
like,
specifically? Let me give a specific example. Like the people who are
yeah,
wanting
go
to
ahead.
learn anime drawing, when they start out, that they haven't perfected the eyes and stuff like that. Uh, you know what I'm talking about? Like when you're learning to
Oh
draw
yeah.
anime and you're not there yet. That's what I mean by amateur in that sense. And here, this art is so distinctive. It fits so perfectly because it's supposed to look like that, particularly the details with the white edges and all that. And it's clear to me that the person who drew this is not the peak of their ability. I'm talking specifically about the main character because you look at the enemies and they clearly understand simple shapes and Eric, you knows all the the technical mumbo jumbo. I don't really know any of that, but I think I'm on the right track. Uh,
Yeah.
Eric can correct me later. The artist understands like basic shapes and not having to overcomplicate stuff. So if you look at their art, they're clearly extremely talented. They clearly know what they're doing, but the main character has almost this amateuristic look which makes it fit. It's one of the things, if you go back and look at the original Paper Mario Thousand Year Door and like look at all of them like one next to each other, and you'll notice that the art gets perfected a little bit and it loses a little bit of its spirit. Like the Nintendo 64 first Paper Mario for me has always been the best one. uh, and if you go back and you look at the art, you'll notice Mario's a little shorter. You'll notice that it looks a little less clean, and that one for me was the best one out of all of them. Better than Origami, better than every single one of the games that came after, from a look perspective. So that's just me. It's probably a bunch of nonsense, but you know, I that's what I think, and I really like. Again, they're communicating some uh, tutorial style information here, and I think they do it. They are obviously inspired from Paper Mario. Paper Mario does the exact same thing, kind of this cutscene close up of the enemy, showcasing you something that's happening. That's very Paper Mario-ish. Uh, and I'm comparing it a lot to Paper Mario, but I'm not saying it's a copy or anything like that, and it's not detrimental. They're using what's already in the
Yeah.
public conscience, and they're using it to their advantage. So just applause. And I wonder what those two fishing poles are. Is the best point of it.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that too.
So
Like, and yeah, it's there's no issues with saying Paper Mario because like it's a clear influence and a clear thing that made them want to do this style. And that's the great thing about art, and I think even games is like even if it's obvious what you're trying to emulate, that's not it. I never see that as a negative because every single artist, every single developer is influenced by something,
yep.
and so you take that original idea and then you build on it or you change something, you try to make a version that's yours. And what you were saying about the art making like seem very amateurish, the thing with this kind of art is this is actually, I would consider this harder to do than some of my more complicated styles that I've used, because when you do something this simple, and here's the thing, look at an actual amateur artist and then put their art up next to this,
Oh, of course. I
and you
mean,
can
yeah, yeah.
see what makes the difference is this is a professional person who's done this so much that they can deceptively make something simple and look amateur-esque, but you don't, but when you actually see it next to like something that's actual like a kid drawing, you're like, oh,
Hmm.
okay, I can see the difference. The lines are smooth, everything is
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
shapely. Like the snail, it has a perfect feel and a good weight to it because the shape works really well. And even the character, everything is very simple. And like I said, it is so hard to do simple because any mistake you make is amplified because there's not a lot of stuff around it to distract your eye. So I applaud them
Yeah,
greatly.
that's a
Like
that's
they
a
did
much better
such a good
way
job.
of saying what I tried to say. So
Yeah,
that's
it's
that's the
deceptively
yeah.
amateurish.
Yeah, so thank you for that, because that's a much better way of saying what I was trying to and failing to communicate. Eno,
Yeah, because it's actually a trick. Let me just explain this real
oh, go ahead.
quick. The snail, that is actually a great way to learn animation. Is the trick with the pillow. Animate a pillow moving like a human. That is so hard to do because you have to take something that is not human and is very soft and has a lot of sponginess to it and make it look believable that this thing is alive and is able to move, even just walking across the screen. So if you're out there and you want to learn animation, do stuff like that snail. You will learn so much from just simple blobs and, simple shapes than you will trying to draw just a person. Um,
I had no idea
that's just
that
my little
the whole
my
pillow thing.
little advice.
I had no idea of the pillow thing. That's a nice one. There you go, artists. Tip, pretty badass tip from Eric here. Eno, let's take it home.
Yeah. Um, I just have again to agree with you guys. It's beautiful. It's clean, and I like the animation, the walking animation of the stripe. Yeah, it's really it gives you instantly this Paper Mario feeling. But as Eric said, yeah, this is nothing wrong about it. It's always smart to use something familiar but still different. So people instantly are familiar with this concept, but
Yeah.
it's completely different. You see this instantly. Yeah,
Yeah. So
great work on this.
all right, boys. I'm gonna let you guys look at the tweets. As you know, the tweets and the YouTube video. It's in the random entries section. We gotta pick one to be the highlight of the week. I'm gonna let Eno go first this time. I'm gonna give you a couple minutes to go through them and kind of pick it. Uh, Eno will be announcing his first. Eric will be going second, and I'm, as usual, last, just in case I need to do tiebreaker. Uh, so while I do that, I'm just going to once again congratulate everybody for their awesome work. A reminder that we do the highlight and all that, but this isn't really a competition. It's really just to look at other developers' work and get a conversation going and to give feedback to people. We all know how important feedback is, and even just one person telling you what they like and what they dislike is such a boost for developers. It's such a boost for us to kind of keep working and keep going at it. So that's what we try to achieve here. And if you want your media, be it a YouTube video, a GIF, an image, a Twitter video, just join us in the Discord. Again, the invites in the description down below, and let us have it in the dev channel. Just let us check it out. If you got like a Kickstarter that you're starting, and you want us to check out the demo or whatever, we also do that. We did that a couple weeks ago. Um, so yeah. Additionally to all of that, if you don't use Discord or whatever, you can always tweet it at me at Dreaming Dice, or you could tweet it at Eric or Eno, and their Twitters are in the description down below. As well as all of the rest of their media. So I really uh, encourage you to go check that out. And with that shilling aside, let's drum roll. I don't have actual drum roll effects. Uh, we're on a low budget here. um,
If I could get to my drumsticks, I would just drum on my desk.
Uh, so I'll just do da 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 da, the worst drum roll effect in
Yeah,
history,
ever.
which is what I was going for. Because again, you'll remember distinctively terrible. Um, so who is your highlight of the week?
I'm kind of in between of Extensis official and the Hyper Team Reckon, the last one we looked at. It's really hard. All of them were really
You gotta
nice work.
choose.
Yeah, I gotta choose. So I'm gonna choose the Hyper Team Reckon.
All right, so Hyper Team Reckon, the last one from the Paper Mario that we just looked at. I'm just opening all the other ones on screen just so everybody can kind of take a look at it again. And let me just kind of show them again. We had the YouTube video, that was the first one. We had Extensis official, which is this one. We had Mr. Chris Algo with the jumping animation and the camera. We had Kuvik with the RTS, had Hyper Team Reckon, which we already talked about, and we also had Meteora. It's right here. So, Eric, we got one vote for Hyper Team Reckon. Where's your vote going?
Um, yeah. So, like was saying, is every single one of these is absolutely fantastic looking, and every one of you should be proud of your work. And believe me, everything looks amazing. My vote is going to go to Existensis official, and I have to give them that vote just because I want to show my respect for someone who is keeping the traditional stylings alive, and not only that, really implementing it so greatly into a game. And that was the thing that made me fall in love with the water paintings from the last one. Is just seeing someone take traditional media like this. That as much as I do things digitally, I still love pen and paper. I still love it. So yeah, my vote has to be to this crazy son of a bitch who's doing all of this crazy work on paper before putting it on the computer. Great work.
Awesome. All right, so we got, as I said, Eno has a vote for Hyper Team Recon, and Eric has a vote for Existences Official. So I have the sour task of playing tiebreaker. If I wasn't a tiebreaker and I could just cast a normal vote, I would probably end up voting for Krill, the RTS group, simply because I think RTS games don't get enough love. Uh, they're kind of a pseudo dead market right now, and they shouldn't be because there's a huge demand for them. And it's been a long time since I see something so smoothly done with this cartoon, almost Advanced Wars reminiscent of it. Um, and he only got 8 likes, so let's try to boost that because he deserves all the love he can get. Uh,
Yep.
but because I am unfortunately the tiebreaker, and I can't just vote for whatever I would normally vote, I have to pick in between Existences Official, which is Eric's highlight, and Hyper Team Recon, which is Eno's highlight. Last week I went with Eric. This week I'm gonna have to go with Eno and give Hyper Team the nod this week and make them the highlight of the week. It's just the again, all my respect to Existentius official. He's clearly doing some insane work, and I have a sneaking suspicion he's going to be quite successful. Uh, but my Paper Mario nostalgia is very, very difficult to overcome, and the fact that I've bought uh, the last two Paper Mario games specifically off of that nostalgia, despite them being quite mediocre in many people's eyes, uh, is testament to how much these games meant to me growing up. And I really love the way they handled all the little details, from the character shaking like a madman when talking, to the camera cuts, to the little bounciness of the little blob thing, to the details I don't quite understand, like those fishing rods. So that's my vote for today. Congratulations to everybody who's been working hard. Keep working, and tweet at me. Tweet at me your work in the future so we can have you again. It's not a one-time thing. You don't get to be on the show just once. So yeah, I guess that's it for today. Congratulations to everybody. Congratulations to Hyper Team Reckon. We will be uh, putting it in the highlight section of the video, and we will be letting them know. We're letting them know. Again, you don't win anything. Maybe if we had a budget, you would, but we don't. Just our applause, just the applause from fellow developers. So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about what are you guys doing for next week? What are your weeks look like? As we were talking about a little earlier, Eric, you've had quite a few streams lately, so gotta give you some applause for that. So you still got a lot of streams coming up this week. Like, tell us a little bit about what does your week look like?
I mean, yes, as long as I have work to do, then I will always try to stream it as best I can. Coming up this week, I'm hoping to have product review on Monday. So that's tomorrow. and then I want to either have a drawing video or another product review, depending on how things go, for Friday. And then in between there, I'm gonna try to sprinkle a stream in. Depends, just because this project or this like poster thing is taking up a good amount of time and it takes a lot of concentration. So, sometimes I remember, sometimes I completely forget. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be my week and hopefully getting that done.
Awesome. What is next for our Amazon chef?
Amazon chef.
Brought to you by Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, I'm first. I'm gonna polish what I have right now a little bit more, and then I might tackle on the next door inside of there to show off next week where you can spend your money else.
Awesome. And in my case, I will be working a little bit more on now polish and content. I probably won't be adding any new, a couple of the missing windows that we still have. I probably won't be adding that. I want to perfect what we currently have, which is what I talked about last week. So I'll probably be finishing that little combat scene and moving into kind of returning to the world and showcasing the effects. Um, and maybe I'll do some work on the research and action selections. But I don't promise anything regarding that. I want to perfect what we have now, polish it, make it look good, fix a little bit of the battle camera, which has become smaller for some reason. I need to find out what happened there. But yeah, it's
Drinking.
polish, and maybe add some new characters, do some a little bit of non-programming work, kind of add a little bit of content, and maybe and obviously change the battle scene to reflect the area where they're currently fighting. You don't want to fight in a forest and end up in a dungeon for some reason, which is what you currently have. So I want to change that. But other than that, yeah, that's what I'm going to be working on. So once again, everybody, keep your good work going. Remember to show us what you're doing, and we'll talk about it. So thank you once again to Mr. Eric and Mr. Eno for joining us, and have a great week. So
Bye.
say good night, boys.
Goodbye, everybody.
All right. Good night, boys. Have a good one.